Hey everyone, welcome back to Realpolitik. Today we're going to be talking about the latest developments in Ukraine for June 16th, 2023. And before we start, make sure to like and subscribe and let's get right into it. So, in Bakhmut, it seems that the Ukrainians are claiming to have made some progress, and it's mostly around here. The line was previously somewhere around there, like that. And basically, the Ukrainians are fighting for the city of, sorry, for the villages of Berkivka and Yahidne. And what they're trying to do is to make it to the MO3. If they can make it to the MO3, it's really important because the MO3 leads to Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, the last two cities in major cities in the Donetsk Oblast. And basically, the MO3 also connects to this road right here, which would allow the Ukrainians to threaten Bakhmut from the north. And then they're also trying to get through to Klashivka. If they can get through to Klashivka, get to the southern portion of that same road, they can threaten Bakhmut from the north and south. And then if they can get to the MO3 here and from here, they can basically it'll basically be like a pincer maneuver around Bakhmut. They can encircle Bakhmut, but that's easier said than done. And another issue is that essentially the Ukrainians, if you notice, there's no blue here, so it's basically they're saying it's a gray zone. But essentially, there's a river here, and the Ukrainians have to cross this river to get through. And aside from that, there's two bodies of water here, a reservoir here, a little body of water here, and that basically makes this area like a choke point. Also, there's, if you look at it on the deep state map, these are both pro-Ukrainian maps, by the way, live UA map, deep state map. But anyways, here you can see the Russians control this slope around here, right here to the north of this reservoir. So this is essentially a bottleneck. And you see this map is a little different. They're not showing any progress towards Yahidne. No gray zone near Yahidne. But yeah, this map is showing it, and there's a larger opening here to the south of this second body of water, but the issue is that again the Russians have the high ground here, and there's all this greenery, shrubbery, and the Russians can use that as cover to ambush Ukrainians trying to get through in between the slope and the body of water here. So having supply lines going through here, um, it's actually pretty difficult. I wouldn't want to be in that situation. Lately, there's been a lot of footage showing the Ukrainians incurring a lot of losses in terms of armor and personnel around Bakhmut the last couple weeks. Some of it I've shown you guys, some of it in the previous video. Some of it I can't show because it's just too graphic. There's like can't show dead people right on YouTube. Anyways, aside from that, there's actually this rumor, which I guess was a rumor, but I wasn't sure if I should mention it. But basically, in Kremenaya area, supposedly a HIMARS strike killed over 100 Russian soldiers who were gathered, and a lot of people, including Rybar, who's a pretty well-known Russian mapper, war blogger. They're really upset about it because the commander wanted to give a speech before the his troops went on the offensive. And what ends up happening is he doesn't show up for 2 hours. They're gathered for 2 hours, and then somehow the Ukrainians found out and they bombed the the gathering, the concentration of Russian troops. So when I first heard it, I wasn't sure if it was true, but some more credible sources have come out and mentioned it. So we still I haven't seen any footage, but all the Russian war bloggers are pretty upset about it. They're pretty certain it happened. So, and in any case, now let's go to the Zaporizhia region. So the Ukrainians, they launched their offensive not last Sunday, but the Sunday before on the 4th of June. They've taken Lobkove right here, and what else? Just this blue kind of line that goes all across the front. This settlement, Bilohoria, and this was there before. Go further east, the Ramivka tactical bridgehead, and they've taken these settlements right here. These four settlements: Neskuchne, Sorojeve, Blahodatne, and Makarivka is constant. There's constant fighting for this settlement, especially. It's really back and forth. It's changed hands a few times in the last couple of days. They've also taken these two settlements as well. And this is the only progress they've made. And in the big picture, it's really nothing. But let's take a look at what's happened here. Rybar has kept track of it. It started like this. The Ukrainians tried to pierce the Russian front line and take this settlement here, Eurozene. Yeah, I know I'm not pronouncing any of these right, but anyways, they tried to cut off these settlements to the north, um, which are all connected by this road. But anyways, so the Russians counterattacked and allegedly destroyed a dam, not anything like the Kharkovka Dam, a little dam, slow down the Ukrainians. Allegedly, that's what the Ukrainians are saying. And then, anyways, the Ukrainians ended up taking Blahodatne and Storozheve, and then the Russians extensive bombing, artillery, and Makarivka, the Ukrainians took. Russians took it back. All the dates are here on the 13th. They took it back. And the Ukrainians took it back. And then since then, the Ukrainians have held on to it. And there's also fighting on the western portion of the Ramivka tactical bridgehead, which is a salient. And I've said this before. I expected the salient to. I expected the Russians to abandon. Uh, if I knew if they were going to fall back from anywhere, they would most certainly fall back from this salient. Just because, I mean, when you're talking about a salient, it's you straighten out the line, and that's about 20 kilometers. Now, if you go around, um, even if we go like this, which will be shorter than going around every single little corner, that's still around 40 kilometers, right? If you go around every little corner, it's around like up to 60 kilometers. So it's straightening out the line half the distance. Whenever you're on the defense, you don't want a salient sticking into enemy territory because you're going to need twice as many troops to cover the ground, right? And then by straightening out your line, all the troops you have, you can basically double up and compress your front line, right? So you can have a stronger, shorter line as opposed to a more extended, longer line. And then obviously communication is more difficult that way too, right? Um, anyways, let's get rid of this and then we can take a look at some footage from the last 2 days. The Russians, they captured a Scan Eagle drone, a surveillance drone made in the United States. And wait a second. This shows a tank being destroyed. Goes over a mine. And there's a lot of that going on now. Here's the thing. I'm going to show you this map. So basically, this is by Rybar, and he's showing basically, um, this is from yesterday, and the tanks and armored vehicles that can be verified, the losses can be verified and geolocated. They're all listed here. Obviously, in some cases, there's a lot of helicopter footage, and in a lot of that footage, the armored vehicles are too far away, or you're seeing it through night vision equipment, so you don't really see precisely what it is, so it can't be verified. But my point is, there's likely a lot more than this. This is just what can be verified and geolocated. And you'll notice, if you notice, the Dnieper River is right here, right? And if we look at the map, we get rid of this. The Dnieper River would be right here. So essentially, most of the losses were not around the Vermivka tactical bridgehead. They were actually more further west towards Robotine, where it dips right here. Let's find that on this map. If we can, Robotine, right? And so most of the losses were here, and they haven't really made any progress here. Like, they captured what? Like, field at the most? Like a few fields and shrubs, and you're like, I mean, just look at this. I'm not going to count it, but it looks like 60% of the losses are here, right? So that's just insane, right? Most of their losses are there and they haven't made any progress. I mean, look, realistically, these losses are not at all sustainable, right? And you see here the 61 plus 11. The 11 is the 61. The numbers before are from the last time he made this kind of graph, which was 4 or 5 days ago, I think, 3, 4 days ago. I don't know, 3 to 5 days ago, something like that. But in the last few days, 11 more armored fighting vehicles. So 3 more Bradleys, 4 more Max Pros, and tanks 22 plus 4. So 4 new ones. 2 new Leopards brings the total to 13, and 2 new T-72s. But there is a ton of helicopter footage, especially with the Ka-52. And what has happened essentially is that let's take a look at some of the helicopter footage actually. Like this, for example, right? Volume down. So what's happened is that the reason these helicopters and also Russian fighter jets, they're pretty much going on a rampage right now along the front line in Zaporizhia. Why? Because the Lancets are paving the way by destroying a lot of Ukrainian radar equipment. Right. A few days ago, the Russians, a Lancet, they discovered an Iris-T, and right away they went for the radar because the launchers are useless without the radar. The radar is like the eyes and ears, right? But there's a lot of this kind of footage. Um, 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 yeah, this is a Mi-28 helicopter. Let's take a look at this. But yeah, I mean, the amount of armor, tanks and armor the Ukrainians have lost, it's their burn rate is not sustainable. Their burn rate, I mean, for what they've gained, it's they're never going to make it to Crimea at this rate. So, but yeah, these helicopters are hitting targets from a really far distance, like 5 to 10 kilometers usually. So, and again, like with this, you can't really verify it, right? So all of these are not being verified. So that 101 count, it could easily be 50% higher or more. It could easily be because I've seen a lot of this kind of footage. There's so much of it I can't keep track. So, right. So, and actually, the first day, I think the counteroffensive, the first day it started, the Russians accidentally destroyed a tractor and they said it was a Leopard. And then everyone was laughing at them. But I don't think a lot of these are tractors, I'm pretty sure. I don't think many people are, because the entire front has been evacuated, right? The Russians evacuated the front. So I just don't think there's many people around, anyways. Um, anyways, yeah, this is a Bradley, um, and this Bradley is actually being repaired. It was hit by artillery and allegedly is being repaired. So, oh, another thing I should mention: a lot of the equipment that has to be repaired, a lot of it has to go to Poland, right? Or the Baltic states. So we're talking about like from the front line, Zaporizhia. I mean, even just a straight line. It's not going to be a straight line. There's going to be roads and whatnot, but that's that's 1,000 kilometers, 600 miles, right? But of course, it's not going to go through a straight line, so it's a lot more than that. That's just one way. So the Ukrainians, their logistics is just headache and a half. I'll tell you that. Um, anyways, oh yeah, something else. The a lot of Ukrainians have surrendered recently in Novo Bakhmutovka. So there's like 14 of them or something that have surrendered, and you see some of their fellow soldiers are injured, and I think it was yesterday. Was it the day before yesterday? I don't know, but basically the same thing happened like 2 days ago, I think. Basically, a bunch of Ukrainian soldiers, they requested a medevac. They were requested to be evacuated. A lot of them were injured. Allegedly, the Ukrainian high command said, nope, you're staying put, and we can't send medical support, whatever. And they surrendered to the Russians, right? So that might have been what happened here. Some of these guys look pretty old, man. I don't know. They don't look like spring chicken to me, but I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. In Kursk, oh, let me get rid of this. Kursk is right here. So in Kursk, uh, a drone strike has the Ukrainians launched drones at the city, and this was the end result. They hit a building, supposedly, allegedly, a residential building. Yeah, civilians get caught in the middle, of course, right? Yeah, this is a map of Kherson. You can see that the flooding has negatively affected the Russians a lot more than the Ukrainians, right? Because obviously the red side is the Russians and the blue side is Ukrainians, and you can see the Russians. There's a lot of artillery duels taking place. So Okeshki Island. Allegedly, the Ukrainians landed here and the Russians destroyed a few speedboats, but some Ukrainian troops landed here. But it's really, must be really, the ground must be really muddy right now because of the flooding. So I don't know what the Ukrainians are even doing, why they're trying to. And the last time they actually tried to, like a serious amphibious assault on these islands here in the middle. The Russians basically launched some Fab 500s and annihilated the troops there. And I think three S-300 batteries were destroyed in one day, if I recall correctly, a few weeks ago, over a month ago. But yeah, that was pretty memorable. Oh yeah, Marinka. In Marinka, if you look at this map, the Russians essentially control like what, 80% of the city. Some Russian sources say 90, but the Ukrainians are not giving up. So, looking at Marinka though on this map, um, you see it's not quite the same. It's let's take a look. So this is right there. Like that. Okay. Um, yeah. On the other hand, if we look at this map, uh, this is closer to the Rybar map, but of course this is showing it's a gray zone here, right? Yeah, fighting is ongoing, so um, yeah, regardless, let's get rid of that. And then oh yeah, the Ukrainians have launched drone strikes again, drones towards Crimea. Um, they do this every couple of days or every week or so now. And the Russians are saying the electronic warfare brought down, I think, several of the drones. How many was it again? Um, five with electronic warfare and six were shot down. That's what the Russians are saying. Um, more K-52 footage, destroying two tanks. Yeah, there's a lot of this footage. Wait for it. And there we go. And then they destroy the other one. But yeah, the reason they're able to do this is actually because let's look at some Lancet footage. So, three radar systems in the last 2 days, okay? So, the Russians destroyed a Bukovel radar system with a Lancet. The Lancet has been really successful. The Lancet and the Shawhead drones, um, I mean, the Russians have been really successful with their drones, and the Ukrainians have not. I mean, I remember when they received the what was it? The Switchblade. Everyone was talking about, oh, the Switchblade, the Switchblade. All the NATO fanboys are, oh, the Switchblade is gonna kill all the Russians, blah, blah, blah. And then nothing happened. Like I saw one video of a Switchblade trying to hit like two Russian soldiers, and it just like didn't do anything. And they're really expensive too. They're not cheap, so I don't know what the heck. But anyways, they're not ordering anymore, so I just don't think they work very well or something. Otherwise, or I heard from one source that the Russians just their electronic warfare capabilities are too potent, and they just jam everything. That might be it too. But yeah, an M777. All of this is within the last 48 hours, by the way. Last month, I released a compilation of all the Lancet strikes from last month, from May. I'm gonna do that this month too. So, um, yeah. And I've heard every time an M777 needs to be repaired and needs to get sent to Poland as well. So, I mean, there's just no way Ukraine would be still in the fight without help from the US and NATO. There's just no way. They would have been finished a long time ago, right? It's just impossible. Just the logistics doesn't make any sense. Now with the way the counteroffensive has gone, honestly, I think the Ukrainians should have taken the White House's advice. Maybe they should have, right after the counteroffensives last year, Kharkiv and Kherson, they should have negotiated on a high note. They would have got more concessions out of Russia, probably. And they would have, on a high note, they would have ended the war and made it look like, they whooped Russia's butt. But yeah, they didn't take it. So another Bukovel radar system. These radar systems are very expensive. Like that IRIS-T that was the Lancet found several days ago. The IRIS-T air defense system. I mean, the radar is worth like 17 million, right? Because the launchers are useless without the radar. That's what you gotta understand. The launchers are just with the radar, they can't function. So that's why right away the Lancet operator went for the radar. That was the right choice. And then what happened is the the artillery took out the rest. Uh, a P-18 surveillance system. And you see they put blocks of logs in front of it to protect it. But the warhead of the Lancet, it's highly incendiary and it made it through actually. That's what they say in this video. They're saying it made it through. Either way, that this is out of commission. And the thing is, the Lancet can attack from any angle they want. They can actually change the trajectory in mid-flight as they're aiming. I've seen them do it. So it's just kind of pointless to do this nonsense. Plus the artillery could take it out too, right? Like, and then yeah, all within 48 hours. And then we have so one Bukovel, one M777, one other Bukovel, one P-18 surveillance radar, and one electronic warfare system that they covered up with camouflage, right? And all of that was within the last 48 hours. Wow. Yeah, that's done. So just by doing this, I mean, the Ukrainians, just by taking out their radar, the Ukrainians' radar, I mean, the air defense systems are useless, and then their helicopters and planes can just fly freely for the most part, right? So, another thing, what's funny? This is how scared the Ukrainians are of the Lancet drones. Just watch this. They're playing dead. They're playing dead. Yeah, they're making fun of them with this cartoon. One runs, the rest run after him. Like, do they realize how ridiculous they look? And then they're gonna go play dead somewhere else. Like, are they like? Look, a leopard that's burning. I don't think the British want to send their Challengers anymore. And I don't think the Americans want to send their Abrams anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if they set up delays. They like make excuses not to send them because this is not good for PR, man. Like a lot of countries are less likely to buy the Leopard. It's not like it's cheap. It's really expensive. It's like more than $8 million a piece. And then like, countries are going to see this and be like, why would I pay that? Like I've said it before, don't get me wrong. Between being in a, T-72 or being in like an Abrams, I'd rather be in an Abrams. More protection, right? It's a heavier tank, more protection. They were built with survivability in mind. So yeah, but I mean, a T-72 is $2 million, an Abrams over 8 million, a Leopard's over what? It's at least 6-8 million. So of course, like. Anyways, let's Ukrainians Sheldon Urban District. And yeah, you can see that's residential. Unfortunately, sometimes there's collateral damage when it comes to this, right? It's sad. This is sad. I hope the hodler's okay. Some of these people, they don't have anywhere else to live, right? So, this is Kryvyi Rih. Kryvyi Rih. Let's Zelensky's hometown, Kryvyi Rih, right here. And the Russians actually hit allegedly a warehouse, weapons weapons storage facility, and repair plant. So that's the problem, right? The repair plants get targeted by the Russians. That's why, it, you know, they can establish the repair plants in Ukraine, but a lot of the times with Western equipment, it's Western technicians, and they don't, right? They don't want to risk them. NATO countries don't want to risk them. They don't want to risk their citizens, so they just do it in Poland, right? So yeah. Um, this hacker group, several hacker groups have come together and they are threatening to attack the European banking system. Watch this. Wait, it's not loud enough. Fuck. Wait. Okay.
All European banks.
All right, let's start from the beginning. Sorry about that, guys.
We are Anonymous Sudan. Today, we are a direct threat to all European banks. European banks, you will soon be witnessing the most powerful cyber attack in the recent history of the world. Be prepared, because when we strike, it will be too late to make amends. Many European banks will be targeted and we will hit without mercy.
The world has gone mad. The reason for this is money. If God rules Russia, then who rules Europe? That's right, the banking system. No money, no problem. Revel is sufficiently familiar with the European financial infrastructure. See you soon.
This
He
is
looks
not
like a
DDoS
gimp.
attack.
Games are over. We
This
call
guy
on all
too.
active groups to engage in destructive activities against the European banking system. No money, no weapons, no Kiev regime. This is the formula for the death of Nazism, and it will work. Within 48 hours we are launching this global company. Nothing will save you, and this is not a warning. I am just informing you. You have never seen such problems before. We are killing it.
These guys look like fetish artists. But yeah, I don't take it seriously, because if they're gonna do something, why even give a warning? They're probably just saying this so people pull out their money. Some people will probably take them seriously and pull out some money, and that that puts pressure on banks, right? So I think that's what the whole point is. I don't. Why would they even mention if they're going to do something? That's what I'm wondering. Anyways, a Ukrainian convoy destroyed in Zaporizhia. A lot of these armored vehicles and tanks get destroyed by just artillery, right? But those guys playing dead, that's just so ridiculous. That's what happens. That's why you see guys surrendering. That's what happens when you drag people off the streets. And, like there's footage of like recruitment officers setting up roadblocks and just giving out like summons notices. So that's what happens, right? Like people, you're forced to fight. They're usually going to give up the first chance they get, right? They're going to, oftentimes, right? Now, I don't think most Ukrainian soldiers are being forcefully conscripted, but um, it is what it is. Belgorod, yeah, Belgorod. The Ukrainians are built. They're building up troops. They have 21,000 troops allegedly, and then 9,000 territorial defense. So they're moving armored vehicles and tanks. And previous in the last few weeks, they've launched little incursions, and they've attacked Shebekino, and they've held the village for a few hours. And these were lightly armed groups that call themselves pro-Russian, but they're backed by Ukraine, obviously, right? Yeah, so now I think because of that, Ukraine, they might be wanting to launch a serious incursion into Belgorod, and then if they can take Belgorod, use it as leverage. But again, the problem is Ukraine doesn't have, sending in troops without air cover. I don't think it works very well. you know, I mean, in last year, the Ukrainians outnumbered the Russians like 3-1, 5-1 in some cases or more, but not anymore. Russia mobilized. So what I'm hearing is since the start of the year, because of the success Wagner had or whatnot, that 100,000 Russians have volunteered. Uh, so because so many people volunteered, they didn't even need to do a second round of mobilization. So that's what they're saying, anyways. But in any case, the Russians are also beefing up their defenses here. Wagner's here. Some Chechen troops have been moved here. So if nothing else, it's Graveron. Yeah, they attacked. See this arrow? They attacked Graveron. Almost made it there. Took a few settlements in between, but yeah. So if nothing else, they're depriving other fronts of Russian troops by doing this. But then the Ukrainians also have troops here, so I don't know if it's really a win. But anyways, Canadian Senator armored vehicle wrecked. Did it hit a mine? I don't know what the heck happened, but oh my god, so loud. Yeah, it's out of commission though. What happened to it? I wonder. What the heck is wrong? What happened to it? Both tires? Did it? They tried towing it while the brakes were on. What did they do?
No. No, no, that's bull. That's nonsense. We need some fresh ideas. Better, stronger, and effective. Oh, God, I'm so tired.
Party International.
Rozbrojenie jest.